Here's the second day of section 4.4. This time we're switching gears completely and we're going to talk about the average value of a function. We have a formula for it, and the formula is 1 over b minus a times the integral from a to b of the function itself. All right, let's try this out. I'll explain as I go. Okay, find the average value of 2x minus 3 between x's 2 and 4. All right, well, there are 2 points on this graph. The first is the point 2, 1, and the second is 4, 5. So really, you can ignore the rest of this. Really, I probably should have made a segment instead of a line. All right, so let's say that you came into school, and I was standing in front, and I was handing out sheets of paper, like 500 of them, so everybody could have one. And all the sheets of paper were decimal numbers between 1 and 5. And you just picked one randomly. And then we had everybody submit theirs on a Google Doc, and we took the average. What do you suppose the average height would be? Well, if you're thinking 3, you're absolutely correct. It makes sense. Or if I was to randomly start here, I was to go back and forth along this line, and you were to yell, stop! And I recorded what height I was at. And then we did it again in a different color. I went back and forth, and you were like, and stop. I'm like, all right, and I recorded what height. If I was to do that 10,000 times, it would average out to a height of 3. So the answer here is going to be 3, and that makes complete common sense. But now we're going to go the uncommon way, and we're actually going to use the average value formula to prove that it's 3. The average value is 1 over b minus a. By the way, this is your a and this is your b. We have to give it to you. If I don't tell you what a and b are, you can't do the question. And it's the very same 2 numbers, the a and the b, also become the limits of integration. You're trying to find the average value of f of x, so just put f of x in. Don't make this any more complex than it really is. Don't change the function. It just is what it is. Okay, out front, that's 1/2. And we can integrate the rest. 2x becomes x squared minus 3x. And we're going to integrate from 2 to 4. And this calls for first fundamental theorem. In goes the 4 first. 4 squared, that's 16. Minus 12. 16 minus 12, that's going to be 4. All right, in goes the 2. 2 squared, that's 4 minus 6. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. 4 minus negative 2, of course, is 6. And half of 6, why, gosh dang, it's 3. How about that? Who would have guessed? Well, me, actually. I had that like 5 minutes ago. All right, so the formula works. The question is, why on earth would you want to use that when you can just, average, like you've been averaging for years? 5 plus 1 is 6. Cut it in half. Half of 6. I mean, it kind of agrees with the calc, but gosh. Well, yeah, but what if the line's not straight? Yeah, what if it's like part of a parabola? And it still goes through the 2 points, 2, 1, and 4, 5. And of course, we don't need to look at the rest of it. But that answer is not going to be 3. It's going to be less than 3. And the reason why is if I connect 2, 1, and 4, 5 with a straight line like I had earlier, the average height of that straight line is 3. But the green sags below the blue. It's like a telephone wire that's kind of hanging, and so it's not going to be as high. In fact, if this doesn't ring true to you, think about this. In a town in rural Iowa, I hope I'm not redundant there. Oh, I mean, Iowa's got some cities, I'm trying to think of some. Des Moines. Yeah, Iowa City, maybe. Haines. Yeah, all right, it's pretty rural. All right, anyways, we've got 4, 5, and 2, 1. Let's say we're out in rural Iowa, and we have 2 soccer teams. They're youth soccer teams. We'll say it's a co-ed group of U8 kids. And And they're like, hey, who are we going to play against? And the one team has blue jerseys, and the other team unpacks their jerseys, and they're the green team. And the green team's like, who are we playing this week? And the coach is like, we're playing against blue. And they're like, okay. And the first game of the season, they tie each other. Right here, they tie each other 1-1. All right, and then the next game, green team's like, who are we playing? And they're like, we're playing blue. Like, we played blue last week. And they're like, well, it's rural Iowa. Blue's the only team in like 50 miles, so we have to play them again. And green and blue play each other every week of the season for like 10 weeks. And the first game of the season and the last game of the season, the teams tie each other. But every other week in between, do you see how blue is edging out green by 1 goal every week? It's like 3-2 or 4-3, 1-0. But blue's better than green. Green tied them twice. Green has still never beaten the blue team. So on the last problem, if the average height of blue was 3, which it was, there is no way in the world the average height of green is going to be 3. It has to be an answer less than 3, but probably pretty close. Here's where you have to use calculus, and you have to use the average value formula. So here it goes. Let's find the average height of the green formula, and we realize the answer is probably going to be in the upper 2s, 2 point something. So here's the formula. Average value equals 1 over b minus a. Again, it's still going to be 1 over 4 minus 2. It'll still be a 1/2 in front. And in goes the formula, dx. All right, 1/2 in front as I mentioned. Let's just integrate on the fly. 1/2 x squared. X squared will go up to x to the 3rd. Have to divide by 3, so that's instead of 1/2, it'll be 1/6. Okay, that's good. Minus, the x will be 1/2 x squared. And instead of plus 1, it's plus x. We're integrating from 2 to 4. Okay, in goes the 4. 4 to the 3rd is 64. 64 sixths would be 32 thirds, or 10 2/3. 4 squared is 16, half of that is 8, so minus 8, and then plus 4. We're right there. Let's close that up. Okay, in goes the 2. 2 to the 3rd is 8. 1/6 of 8. 8 sixths is 4 thirds. 2 squared is 4. Cut that in half, you're back to 2. So minus 2, and then plus 2, which of course are just going to cancel each other out. So let's see what we have here. I do notice I can simplify my life at least a little bit. 32 thirds minus 4 thirds is going to be 28 thirds. Let's go over here. There's a 1/2 in front. There's a 28 thirds. And everything else is a little bit more decent. And that's going to be minus 4. Minus 4. Like my 4? 12 thirds, that's 4. 28 thirds minus 12 thirds will be 16 thirds. 16 thirds in the bracket. Half of 16 thirds is 8 thirds. So the answer is 8 thirds, which, hey, you know what? That's 2 2/3. Remember we said the answer is going to be a little bit less than 3? 2 2/3 is perfect. And that's the average value of that parabola hanging there between 2, 1 and 4, 5. If we were to pull the cord tight, the average would go from 2 2/3 up to 3. Be a straight line. And then you could use, like elementary school 5 plus 1 divided by 2 method. All right, let's do another. I've got 1 over b minus a, which will be 1/8. I'm going to integrate from a to b, and here's my equation. It's 2 x plus 1 to the half power dx. All right, like I said, there's a 1/8 out in front. I think I'm going to kick the 2 out just to join it. So 2 times 1/8 will be 2/8. That's going to be 1/4. So 1/4, so that 2 is no longer inside. Put it out there. And I think I could just integrate this. I don't need a u sub. I'm just going to integrate it right now. X plus 1 to the 1/2 will become x plus 1 up by a power, so that'd be to the 3/2. But then there's a 2/3 in front. In fact, I'm going to kick that 2/3 out as well, and I'm going to integrate that from 0 to 8. Let me kick the 2/3 out. In fact, once I do that, it's just going to be a 1/6 out front. So that'll make things a little easier. You're probably wondering, what am I doing here? Why do I have a graph? I don't need a graph. And you're right, I totally don't need that graph. It's just there. Let's just see what this function looks like, though. If I was to plug in a 0 to this, it would be 2 times 1, which is 2. So the point 0.02 is on it. If I was to plug in an 8, I would have 2 radical 9, which of course is going to be 2 times 3. That's 6, so it goes through the point 86 as well. Well, I know that halfway between 2 and 6 is 4. But I also know that square root graphs kind of have this basic shape from pre-calc, so I'm expecting the answer to be above 4, at least a little bit. So I just like to do that ahead of time so I kind of have an idea of what to expect. So a little bit bigger than 4. All right, back to the red part. Let's carry on. In goes the 8, and that makes 9 to the 3/2 power. I'll figure what that is in just a bit. Minus, put the 0 in. That's going to be 1 to the 3/2, so that's just 1. All right, what's 9 to the 3/2? Well, it's 9 to the 3/2. That's a square root in there. Well, square root of 9 is 3. 3 to the 3rd is 27, so this is a 27. 27 minus 1 is 26. 1/6, so 26 sixths. Try to say that 5 times fast. You can cut those in half, and it's 13/3, which is the same as 4 1/3. Remember I said that the answer is going to be a little bit bigger than 4. Not to brag, not to boast, but I'm right on the money. All right, average value is 4 1/3. Let's keep you on your toes with a little trigonometry. Y equals sine of x, and we're going to go from 0 to pi. I know that sine of 0 is 0. I know that sine of pi over 2 is 1. Sine of pi is back to 0. And -1, back to 0. But I'm getting a little carried away because it just says, hey, just stay between 0 and pi. So, okay, I don't need any of this stuff right here. To a mere novice, when they say, hey, find the average value or average height, and they're looking at this going, all right, you started at 0, you made it up to 1, and you came back down. The average height, I think, would be 1/2. Well, that's not going to be right. Because if it was a pair of straight lines, then the average height of those lines or segments would be 1/2. It'd be like the Iowa example. This time the green team gets their revenge. The next season comes along and they've practiced. The blue team ties them in the opener and then the finale and then in some mid-season game. But all the other games, green is above blue. You can see it. The average of the blue is 1/2 because those are straight lines. The average of the green is going to be somewhere between 1/2 and 1. Obviously, the average can't be above 1 because neither team actually made it above 1. So I'm probably expecting maybe 0.6 or something. All right, let's try it out. We're going to integrate. Got 1 over b minus a. We're going to integrate from 0 to pi of sine of x dx. So the average value would be 1 over pi. Remember, the derivative of sine is cosine. The integral of sine is negative cosine. Negative cosine. I know I said negative, but I'm going to put it out here. Just make my life easier. We're integrating again from 0 to pi still. All right, pi, you're first. Jump in. Cosine of pi is -1. Minus. Now, don't blow off the 0. Put it in, because cosine of 0 isn't 0. It's 1. So we have -1 over pi times -2. Negative times negative, that's positive. 2 over pi, and that's the average value. And you know what? Pi is pretty close to 3, so this answer is pretty close to 2/3. Remember I said I thought it would be bigger than 0.5. It is going to be bigger than 0.5. Just in case you were curious, 2 over pi is 0.637, so yeah, good answer. 2 over pi. All right, last problem for day number 2. All right, let's see. It says find the average value of the function. I'm so good at average value. Here, let me just get rolling here. So my A is -2, my B is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, let's see. Find the average value of the function over the given interval. Ooh. Whoa. Without integrating. Well, that kind of throws a damper on my plans. Dang. Well, I do have a 1/10 out front. But how am I supposed to solve this if I can't integrate? Oh, wait a second. I know. Integration is just area. If I just found the area of this triangle, and areas of triangle, let's be honest, that's easy. You probably did that in like 3rd or 4th grade. Some of you maybe even earlier. I'll be done. The area of that triangle is going to be 1/2 base times height. The base is 10 because you're going from -2 to 8. The height would be this right here, the highest part. Remember, it has to make a right angle with the ground, but it does. So that's got a height of 4. And if you're not sure if this is exactly on 4, what you can do is set them equal to each other. You'll see that they come equal to each other when x is 6. If you plug in the 6, this will be 3 plus 1, which, by the way, is 4. This will be 16 minus 12, which is also 4. So this is the 0.64. So yeah, the height is 4. Okay, 1/2 times 10 times 4, that's 20. So the 20 goes here, which means it also goes here. And 1/10 times 20 is 2. So the average value is 2. Now there's a much easier way to do this. Since they are both straight lines, you can totally cheat. You're going from a height of 0 at the ends to a maximum of 4 in the middle. And since they were straight, yeah, just halfway between 0 and 4 is 2, so that agrees with the calc. That's the answer. All right, day 2. I'll see you for day 3 next.